What is good? What is good? What is good, good people? It is your boy E and Ren. We're here to do our comic preview. You know what time it is, man. It's time for your friendly neighborhood homies to let you know what the deal is. We're gonna go over some of the stuff that we're reading, man. And like we always say, man, just let us know what you guys are reading. I mean, I'm not trying to be funny, man. I'm a little bit more open to suggestions. But if you guys send a suggestion my way and I read it and I like it and tell Ren about it, he's more than likely to pick it up. Not too big of a week, I think, for either one of us. We've definitely had bigger weeks here recently. But this week, man, we're going to get things started, man. We're going to go right into The Amazing Spider-Man. I think this is number 22, if I'm not mistaken.
Right.
Evidently, in this one, man, we're supposed to find out what exactly happened between Peter and Mary Jane. They've been sort of hinting at it and hitting at it and hitting at it, but now all of a sudden we're supposed to find out in this issue what's going on. I don't know, man. Like I'm kind of on the fence with this one, Ren. I don't want to continue to bash Marvel. I really don't. But I'm almost to the point, man, where I'm like, yo, will you please get on with the freaking story? Will you please get on with the story? I mean, at this point in time, man, we're 22 issues in to this. You've had an event that happened. You've had a bunch of different stuff that's going on. You're changing out artists. You're going in. And I get the fact that the main artist, is not going to work on the book every single time. 22 issues is a long time to be working on a book. But you need to bring somebody in at least vaguely close to same type of style so that it's not throwing the reader too much off. But I don't know, man. Like the last couple of issues with what's been going on with the whole Black Cat thing and the fake Sinister Six and all that. I don't know, man. And Spidey's my guy, so it's like it's hard for me. They've gotten the benefit of the doubt, you know what I'm saying? But at the same time, I'm like, can we get into like a good story at this point in time and let it roll out and see what happens, man? But it's just been too much. It's been all over the freaking place, man. I feel like I say that
Right.
all the damn time when it comes to Marvel.
I agree with you 100% in terms of what they're putting out. And I think for them, they're banking, especially for us older cats, they're banking on nostalgia. Like
They
they
have to
know
be.
they know what we're accustomed to. They know what we've grown up reading and watching and listening to, and they don't deviate from that. So, especially with a Spider-Man story, you know, with a Spider-Man story, you're gonna get little corny jokes. It's gonna be a quick, fast read, but it doesn't really go anywhere. And it's like it goes, but then it goes on and on and on and on to like nowhere forever. And that's a trend with Marvel, which is I don't want to say they're losing me per se, but it's to the point where I'm not rushing to read Marvel stuff anymore. It literally sits on my desk more than anything else. Anything else, like whatever series I'm reading, Marvel will be there. Like, look, there's a couple of books back there. I promise you, they're all Marvel.
I don't understand, man. Like, if you want a miniseries, you
Mhm.
want 12 issues to tell a story, then do it.
Right.
Then do it. I'm perfectly fine with that. But for you to list a title as an ongoing, it should be ongoing. It shouldn't be a bunch of independent stories that have zero tie-in to one another. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I don't know, man. Like I said, I don't want to sit here and make y'all think for any reason whatsoever that I am a Marvel basher, because there's plenty of Marvel books out there. We're going to actually talk about them, one of them here in a minute, that is phenomenal. You know what I'm saying? But the differences between the stories is you have one book that is independent of everything else going on in the universe, so it's able to tell its own story. When you get too many of the crossovers and stuff along those lines, it just becomes almost impossible to keep up with exactly what's going on with the story, because you're reading too many damn stories to go along with it. You know what I'm saying? So
That's a money
Sp-
grab. I mean, the truth of
Spidey,
the matter is, it's a money grab.
it has. I mean, and
They
they're
want you to
getting it.
read this and then read that and then read this just to make sure you get all, the whole story. And what's crazy is the stuff that they say you not have to read, but like the tie-ins and stuff usually
It's
don't
not
really.
essential.
It's not essential. So they get you running around the planet looking for stuff that you don't necessarily need. I ain't mad at them. I'm trying to get my paper too. So that's your hustle.
Yeah,
Go for it.
make
Get it.
make that money. Make
Yeah,
that
make
money.
that money. It's just not going to be my money if it keeps on with this nonsense. I'm just going to
I
read
want to
something else or not
I
read
want
it.
to give him the benefit of the doubt, man, because it's Spidey, dude. You know what I'm saying? But
I get
I
it.
need the story to kind of move forward a little bit. So,
I get
um,
it.
speaking of taking chances, we're gonna jump into now. This is one that I'm getting. If it is something that is worth reading, I would definitely let my man Ren know about it. But that is Dead Romans. This is a number one coming out from Image. Um, Image and Boom have done a really good job recently with their number ones. They tell the stories that you as a reader are not necessarily anticipating. It's not all superheroes and it's
Mhm.
not all, it's just like this one here, man. It's about a prince that is basically sworn he's got to get vengeance. You know what I'm saying? For it's just like any other story, man. Somebody comes in, butchers his town, he goes out on a daggone rampage and tries to wreak havoc on the individuals that basically came and messed up his village.
Mhm.
That's the short and skinny of it. You and I are reading Hitomi. It's basically the exact same thing. It's just in a different time period. So, with that being said, man, like I said, I've given Image and I've given Boom a lot of opportunities in the past with their number ones, and a lot of them have surprised me as far as the story is concerned. So I'm looking forward to it, man. I mean, like I said, I'll give a number one a shot. First thing that I do, just so that you guys kind of know how I approach things. When I go into my shop, I kind of have certain titles flagged. Um, I have my regular pulls and everything like that, but if there's a new number one coming out, what I'll do is I'll add it to my pull list, my personal list, not the one that the shop has. And when I go into the shop, I actually take it off the shelf. I open it up, I sort of flip through it just to kind of see what the vibe is of the book and everything like that. And there was, I think, two or three ones that came out this week. Um, this was the only one that I picked up. The other two I put back. You know what I'm saying? So it's not like I don't want y'all thinking, oh, I'm a comic book dude. I'm gonna go ahead and make a number one and E's gonna go out and get it. No, E might pick it up and take a look at it, but he might not necessarily put it in the bag and take it home with him. But this one, I like the artwork inside of it, so I hope that the story winds up matching up with it. You know what I'm saying? Um, so Ren, speaking of nostalgia, one of these books that you and I will continue to talk about just because of exactly what it is, and that's Gargoyles, man. Like, I think both of us have said it in the past, dude. Like, this is Saturday morning cartoons, man. It is, to its credit, it is just a Gargoyles book. It is not trying to be anything other than that. You know what I'm saying? The story is very simple, it's very basic, it's very easy to follow. Um, the artwork on it is good, you know what I'm saying? It keeps you engaged, and your favorite aspect of it, it's a quick read.
Absolutely. Absolutely. This book, I promise you, E, it just reeks Bernie's Court to me. Shout out to
Right.
Chesapeake and Western Branch. Um, Leaving my house and just walking out the door and mom, I'm going down to Eric's, and one of the only safe places, she was like, with no hesitation, go ahead, no problem. I mean, other than it was just like 2 minutes up the street, but I can just picture myself leaving my house, dribbling my basketball, listening to music, and walking to the house and just opening the door. And your parents are like, he's upstairs, or, just it was always it's family to
Grabbing
me.
ramen on the way up.
Yeah, I do take ramen out of like cupboards and like storage supplies. So you need to know that ahead of time. And it's whatever. But that's a whole nother story. But it just reminds me of like when we were younger, man, and just kicking it. So the artwork just brings me back to that. Like everything about the story just brings me back to simple days. So as I'm turning the pages, I'm actually like going back in time. It's like my little mini DeLorean on paper. Just man, like I remember just kicking it those days and just relaxing and not having a care in the world. So I'm gonna read it until they stop,
It's done.
until it's done, and then I'm gonna just go back and look for other stuff that just reminds me of just younger, peaceful, non-stressful days. So I always tell young people, like, you don't know how much time you have until you don't have it anymore.
It's the
So
only thing
stuff
that's
like this,
undefeated.
right? So stuff like this just it just reeks, youth, um, hanging with my best friend, and just talking about life and laughing. So it's easy for me.
The other thing to remember, man, is like y'all have to understand, like we talk about, easier times and the nostalgia and this, that, and third. We enjoyed this show when it was on TV
Yo,
though. I mean, don't get it twisted. Like we actually really sat down and like watched this, you know what I'm saying? So
dude named his dog after the character on the show. You can't like it more than that when you name loved ones after stuff on a show. So
my first dog's name was Bronx. And the dog in Gargoyles, if you guys aren't reading it, if you never watched the show, it's named Bronx. Now, yes, I mean it helps. I'm from New York, you know what I'm saying? So I mean it fits, but at the same time, that's the reason why he got his name. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't because of the Yankees and the Bronx Bombers or anything like that. It was because of this show. You know what I'm saying? That's a conversation for a different day.
Different topic, different day, different show.
You know what I'm saying? So it helps that we actually enjoyed watching that show. And the fact that the way that the panels are done up, it's just like watching the show. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So it has that nostalgia effect, but at the same time, it's just a fun read, man. It's quick, it's easy. You know what I'm saying? You got kids, you can sit down and read this with your kids. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
it's not
story.
Anything crazy in there going on, so now the next one that we're going to talk about though is one that you do not want to actually sit down and read with your kids at night before they go to bed, and that's Grimm. This one started off with a bang for I think both of us. I think both of us kind of bought in on the whole story of the Grim Reaper's daughter and all that other, and it just the first few issues, man, it was like boom boom boom, and it was like yes, man, this is great. And these last couple of issues have it's like that transition, man, when you go from one story arc into the new one and you have that middle area where you have to kind of just like kill time. You know what I'm saying? Like if you watch TV a lot, it's those filler episodes. They're nice. They don't do anything really to move the story along, but they're necessary. You know what I'm saying? So the last couple of issues have kind of had that feel for me. So I'm kind of hoping that this one ramps it back up to what it was those first couple of issues that really kind of hooked, I think, the both of us.
I'm glad you said that, and I was going to ask you about that off camera, but I wanted to save it for this, and I'm glad that I did because you just answered the question I was going to ask you, which was how you're feeling about the direction of this book. Initially, yeah, it was interesting. The artwork was cool. You didn't know what was going on. So you were wrapped in, like you wanted to find out what was happening. The last few issues, I'm like, where are they going? like
I mean, you got people walking around with symbols on their foreheads and all.
And you thought it was going to be dope because it's coming off of that whole, like, something's killing the children. And that was such a phenomenon. Because I remember trying to get the second issue of this and it was sold out everywhere.
Everywhere. Luckily, I remember that.
I could get it for me, but I remember going to like 2 different stores that day. And it was off the shelf. Couldn't get it. You could not find it. So I'm thinking, okay, boom, I done found like this gem rare book that I caught right at the beginning. And I was like, well, I want to keep getting this. And not that it's bad. I don't want people to think that I want to say this. It is terrible. It's just not as
There's
intriguing.
Definitely worse stuff out there right now. That is for sure.
Right. And it just wasn't like by this point, I'm thinking, man, this is a page turner. Right now, it's just like, all right, let me get to the next book and hopefully that's, it's going to be better than this one. Not bad. It's just not like what I thought it was going to be, but it's okay.
When you come out of the gates with your hair on fire, quite literally in this case, you know what I'm saying, with this book, but, and then you hit that plateau. I'm not saying that the book is dipped, but it's kind of flatlined for me right now. You know what I'm saying? And I needed to kind of kick up that next notch that we're used to having. And it's crazy because we talk about this book having that drop off, and the next book I don't think has had a drop off at all.
People, if you've never read a Punisher book, this is a good one to start with. It is action packed throughout the entire
thing.
The whole thing, like every page, something is going on just about. And if it's not going on, it's about to jump off within the next page. Frank is a killing machine. He's part of the Hand. They think he's like this deaf god, and he's just going around causing grief, chaos, and calamity. And it's very much that every single page. Like the last one, what did he do? Did he kick the crap out of like Ares?
Ares. He
How
beat
you
a
take out the
god.
Yeah, how you take out the god? Not the god, a god. I'm sorry.
And you know what, man? Like I kind of have to like spill the beans a little bit here. Everybody knows we've kind of talked about it on the show before. You know, New Comic Book Day is Wednesdays. You know what I'm saying? So I am a shop goer. Renee shops online. You know what I'm saying? So with that being said, I've already got my books for this week. So all of these books that we're talking about, some of them I've already gotten around to actually reading. Well, Punisher is one of those books where I go to work, I go to the shop, I finish work, I come home, I do what I got to do, I eat dinner, I stack my books in the order that I want to read them, and then I start reading them. This was the first book that I read this week. And I can tell you right now, Ren, I can't wait for the text that comes from you after you read this issue. This may be
Saturday.
This may be the best issue of the series so far. Not just from the extent of the action and everything along those lines, but the backstory with his wife takes on a whole new level this week. A whole new level. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not going to give too much away. I will tell you that you talk about giving a book a chance. When this first book came out for this particular run of The Punisher, you and I bought it as a spec. We bought it as, hey man, down the line, this is going to be worth something because this is going to be the last issue, the last cover that has the old logo on it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Neither one of us really had any intention of reading it, but we also have something where if we buy a book, especially if it's a number one, we'll read it and give it a shot, you know what I'm saying, and see what we like. So I'll never forget the text that came from you when you were like, yo, have you read this yet? And I was like, no, I'm getting ready to read it in a few minutes. And like, you know, after I got finished reading, I sent it back and I was like, yo, you've read it, right? And he was like, yeah, what'd you think? I was like, yeah, I think I'm in on issue 2, man, to see what's going on. And now it's like every single time that this book comes out, it literally comes to the top of my pile. And it's probably the first book that I read that week, you know what I'm saying? Just depending on what else drops. But for the most part, this book has been great. Jason Aaron is writing a hell of a story. The artists that they've used throughout the entirety of the book, like in this particular run with this story right now, everything that's happening in the present day is one artist and everything that's happening in the past is somebody else. So the feel of the book lets you know that you're currently in the present and now we're in a flashback. Now we go back to the present and now we're back into a flashback.
They worked that so well with the artwork, especially because you could tell when it's present day, it's kind of cleaner, it's brighter. And then when they go back to the old stuff, it gets kind of choppy. Like it almost like
it's grainier.
It's grainier. And you don't read the war journals, right?
I haven't read a single one of the war journals.
Yo, the last war journal is nuts because you can see it's a process of him coming back from the war. You know, his wife's trying to be supportive, just trying to understand his mentality of going through that experience and then having to come back home and reacclimate to society. And she's giving her best shot and he's giving it his best shot, but he's fidgety, he's antsy, he's got to be in the mix. She's like, yo, you're looking for trouble. He's like, I hear something. And she's like, oh no, you're just looking for it. And like, no, his senses are so heightened that he's hearing stuff that people like us would not hear. And she's like, yo, cut it out. He was like, oh, okay, but something's happening. And then like literally in the war journal, he busts up in a scene. It's like, oh snap, I gotta go to work. And even in that, like he doesn't have any weapons on him. He's just a natural killing machine and he goes to town. And but that whole issue is that same kind of grainy feel because it reminds you that it's back in the day, like not current. And he's going through the process. I dig it. Everything except for the logo. I don't like the logo. I think it's crap. But the story, the art, it's nonstop. And then you're looking forward towards the next issue.
Yeah.
Like I'm reading it and I'm like, that's it, it's over. And that's how I want to feel when I read a book. Where's the rest of it? And I'm jonesing for the next issue. What I don't like is reading the book and I'm like, oh my God, is this joint not over yet?
Pick the book up and read the book and then close the book and go, The hell did I just
Yeah.
read? You know what I'm saying? Yeah, no, I can't. And you know what, man? I'm not gonna get into the habit of doing this, but on next week's show,
Mhm.
we're gonna talk about this book. I'll just put that
Oh,
out there
all
for
right.
you right now.
Bet, bet, bet.
You'll get a follow up if you would on this particular issue. All right, so
All
moving
right.
right along. This is a book that I actually am reading. That Renee is not. And this is the new Superman book.
That cover is fresh.
She's evidently a new villain. Now, I haven't read this one yet. She's evidently a new villain that has come onto the scene. Now, here's the one thing, man. Like, you guys have heard me say this a couple of different times with the different books that we talk about. The first thing that I look for when I open up a book is the artwork. And so, like, I start to have very specific individuals that when they're on a book, I hope that the story is good because I know what the artwork's going to be. Jamal Campbell is the artist. Now, Joshua Williamson, who both you and I are fans of, you know, he really kind of, you know, he's taken off, I think, over the course of the last 6 months to a year for both of us with the stories that he's told, with the books that he's been on. But Jamal Campbell's artwork, man, like, there's certain people that are destined to draw a character. He's destined to draw Superman. He understands the friggin' assignment. You know what I'm saying? Like, big, bold, colorful panels. And he's done a really good job of keeping me engaged in the story that's being told. And I'm looking forward to this one. I was pleasantly surprised with the first book. Not gonna lie. Pleasantly surprised with the first book. Led me to read the second one. After reading the second one, I'm like, okay, this has got potential. Jamal Campbell, man, on the artwork on this one, man, like, he's impressed me. He's impressed me a lot. So speaking of combinations of people on books, Donnie Cates and Stegman, and I put up the Scotty cover, y'all. You know how we are. You know what I'm saying? So, vanished from me after the last issue. I was like, shit, they done messed up. The story was going along. It was good. It had you all talk about a gritty book. This is your gritty book. You know what I'm saying? This one has definitely done, again, taking an independent idea from a writer and really kind of expanding and making a universe all by itself. I can tell you right now that this book was good, man. Like, I'm very, very intrigued now, where I'm like, before I thought I knew what was going on, and after reading this one, I'm like, wait, hold on. So they're gonna,
was it better than the last one? That's what I need to know, because
Yes.
I read the last one and I'm still waiting on it. Scott just put it in the mail today. I don't know how I felt about that last one.
The last one sucked.
Okay. I thought it was just
The last
me.
one sucked. No,
Okay.
the last one was
lost.
horrible.
I didn't know what was going on. I forgot. And it was like, what is the purpose of this? It's got guts all over the page, people being blown up. I don't know what happened.
And I mean, the way that the story's actually going, the group of bad guys being looked at as the good guys in everybody's eyes and all that other kind of stuff. And, you know, the different types of abilities that they all have and everything. I mean, I get it, man. That's fine. That's cool. But in this book here, man, like, they turned the story on its head. And now I'm like really wondering, like, yo, how is this? Is what I'm reading real? Is what I'm reading not real? Like, they did a good job of, without telling you like what happened, you know what I'm saying? They did a really good job of introducing a potential plot twist in this particular book. And because that plot twist is in effect, you completely and totally have a new vision on what the first books were as far as the story was concerned. You know what I'm saying? So I'll sort of leave it at that, man.
I can't wait to read it, because I was kind of just like, with the last one. So hopefully this one turns out to be better than the last read. But I dig the whole, like, boy's like a flawed villain.
Flawed?
Yeah, like, I'm all about that. Like, because it it mirrors real life. Like, I don't think anybody's completely good, and I don't think anybody's completely bad. I think we have our gray areas, which is why Game of Thrones was such a big hit, because you like people, but you weren't like totally invested because you knew it could be a complete disaster. But that's how we are in real life. So this character, I like the fact that he's kind of broken, but he's trying like the most, the rest of us.
He is, you know what? I'm gonna throw something at you. He's John McClane.
Okay.
If you sit back and you look
Good
at how
one.
action stars and everything along those lines, and how heroes in movies when we were growing up were like, okay, yeah, boom, they didn't get hurt, they didn't get shot, they always were able to do what they needed to do. And then John McClane, the everyday man, came around. You know what I'm saying? And he had his flaws and he had his issues, and he just kind of fought through it all and everything like that. And the main character in this book is clearly flawed. Clearly flawed. You know what
That
I'm
dude's a
saying?
drunk. Like, he got
And
issues,
he's
you know?
and he's addicted to friggin' pain meds and all the other
Yeah,
stuff. You know what
dude
I'm
just
saying?
got issues.
All the while trying to juggle a household, and then finding out that the people that he thought that he had rid the planet of have been here the entire time. You know what I'm saying? So now his mental is all over the place. That last issue, man, I was like, the hell is this?
Yeah, I
And then I
text you.
I kind of came into this one and I was just like, all right, let's
Yeah, let's
hopefully
get
it'll get
over
back
it.
on track. And it was solid, man.
All
It
right,
was
good luck.
solid. Now, I will say, man, like there's you and I had kind of talked about this, man, and I'm just gonna I'll show this one here. Um, you and I are
So dope.
fans of. I mean, come on, man.
So dope.
I just I got it. I'm not gonna lie.
All
I,
right, people.
I
Let
did it.
me express this to you. This guy's collection went way past mine because he's much more open-minded than I am. Like, I just gotta call it what it is. I'm very linear. I keep to the same script for the most part, and I like what I like, and I don't really like experiment. So anything new that comes across my desk to read, it's probably because he recommended it to me, because he's braver than I am in terms of taking a risk. And what he also does is, if he likes an artist, if he likes a style, if he likes a genre, like, he will venture off to that. I'll give him that credit. I can love that cover, but because I'm not reading it, I'm not going to get it. So he will. He'll look at that cover and it'll be, oh, snap. This is, again, back in the day, nostalgia. And whether he's reading it or not, and he might be, he's going to get that cover. I absolutely love that cover, but because I'm not reading it, I won't buy it. So I'm going to
Well,
have to
and
look vicariously through him and enjoy his collection. And if I make it back to VA, I'll be thumbing through it like, oh, this is awesome.
I will tell you guys right now, like when I first started on this journey with Ren, I was not, and we've talked about this before. I was not somebody that grew up reading comic books when I was younger. It just wasn't. You know what I'm saying? Um, I watched a lot of superhero stuff on TV, on cartoons and stuff like that. I've seen the movies and everything, but as far as actually physically going and getting a book and bringing it home and all this, like I had to actually look up where all the local stores were here when we started
Mhm.
actually getting a chance to go back to the stores. I appreciate artwork. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have 7 hip hop covers that are
Yeah,
just
love them.
displayed around my room. I've never cracked the books. When I got them in, they still have the same tape on them when they were sent to me. I will collect specific artists, and it's a small token of, I guess you could say, my appreciation to them.
Hmm.
Um, but at the same time, that I'm an art guy.
Right.
I'm more likely to stick with a book if the artwork is on point and hope that the writing gets better. Every now and then you get a writer that you really like, man. You'll grab his stuff and you'll read it, and the artwork may not necessarily be up to par, but you really like the story. But then it just gets to the point where you just can't bang with the artwork like that.
Right.
And for me, that cover because of what it is. It's Purple Rain, dude. You know what I'm saying? I mean, come on, man. It's Purple Rain.
No, I get it. Purple
Now-
Rain got like crazy nostalgic value for me because on Halborn Street, when that came out, everybody was talking about it. And my parents were like, you ain't watching no movie about Prince. But then we got cable. You understand? Listen. So I'm in my parents' room on 35 Halborn Street, and I'm like, yo, it's coming on today. My parents are distracted. They ain't gonna know what's going on because they know who Prince is and stuff. So I'm in the room and I got the cable on HBO. I'm like, yes, I get to watch this joint everybody's talking about. And I promise you, I was so excited. I didn't like peep my surroundings. So right when you get to the waters of Lake Minnetonka, Pops opens the doors like, boom, what you reading? And Apollonia there in all her glory. And Pops is like, yo, cut it off. Cut it off. So I didn't watch Purple Rain again for years after that.
No, man. I mean,
Pops.
yeah, for real, man. This one for that exact purpose. Now, I'm gonna sit here and tell you guys though, don't get your boy twisted, because when the money's right and it's graded at a 9.8, it'll be added to his collection. I can tell you that right now.
It might. And that one definitely has a shot to make it in the graded box because it's back in the day. It reminds me of that time. It reminds me of that encounter with me and my pops, and it just makes me laugh. And again, that laughter is youthful, like joy and happiness, even though I probably got in trouble and wasn't allowed to watch cable for a couple of days. But it reminds me of them days, man. So I might have to get that at a 9.8 just to have it in the set. But I got to get them. Oh, yeah. I got to get them hip hop covers too, man. So those definitely, when I can afford it, I'm going to get those 9.8s.
Yeah, and like I said, man, I think the biggest thing that you guys can kind of see, we've been doing the show now for a few weeks. Thank y'all for tuning in to the shows, man. The support. It's sure. Great to look at the YouTube page and see the people actually watching the stuff that we're putting out, man. So, but spread the word, man. Tell everybody that you know. But you can already see, man, like we have two very different approaches to the way that we collect. Mm-hmm. We have two very different approaches to the way that we go about getting our books. Right. We have two different approaches as far as what we'll give a shot to and things along those lines. So the biggest thing is, man, when it comes to getting into this hobby is you do what's right for you. Like we were talking the other day about so many of these singles, so many singles that we might make that transition into just waiting for them to get collected in one specific spot. You know what I'm saying? Then kind of going from there. I'm at that point right now with one of your favorite books, with Strange Academy. Like I am patiently waiting and looking every other week to find out when that Omni is going to come out. And it might be a year from now before I'll be able to get the entire thing in one bound volume. You know what I'm saying? But that is one that at this point in time, that's on my list. You know what I'm saying? And as soon as it drops, it'll be something that I'll spend $75 to $150 on in order to be able to collect the entire thing in one single. You and I have talked about it a couple of different times, man, off air, once in future. I've got all of the trades. You have all of the singles.
Right.
When that whole thing drops in a full collected edition, it'll be on my shelf. You know what I'm saying? That's going to happen, just because. And good luck on that one. That book was fantastic. But
yeah, no problem.
Yeah, man, like don't think that the way that we're telling you that we do things is the way that it needs to be done. You do what's within your means, because this can get very expensive. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
And secondly, man, find a niche that you like and live in that niche for a while before you expand out a little bit. You know what I'm saying? And the biggest thing, man, is read what you like. And
gotta enjoy it, man.
Yeah, for real.
I don't see why you would do anything unless you absolutely enjoy it, except for like work for a living, which is a whole different topic.
It's required.
Right. But when it's not something that's required, live in the realm of peace, happiness, and like joy. And if it doesn't give you those aspects, find something that does. Life's too short to be out here doing stuff you don't feel like doing, or it's a chore. That's why, like, I appreciate E when he'll tell me, Ren, check this out. One, I know that he took the time to take that risk. Thank you. The other aspect of he's not gonna tell me to read something or check something out because I don't know too many people that know me better than this dude. If he tells me to check it out, that means he's already like gone through the preliminaries. Like I'm not gonna bring him any nonsense because he knows I'll be like, yo, what are you doing and why are you wasting my time? So stuff like this, I'm glad that we're doing it together because we get a different take on things. We get to share ideas, and the fact that we're all busy doing stuff, it gives us a chance to like talk and connect and you know just relive those days where we were right next door almost, but now we're not, but we can still communicate about something that works for both of us. So I agree with him. Read something that you like that appeals to your eye, and then just appeals to your sense of joy and happiness. So definitely do that. As far as like Strange Academy, please get that when you can, man. Like I know you're waiting for like the Omni, but I wish I could just send you like all the singles right now because it's that to me it's that good of a story. But I feel the same way about Something's Killing the Children. Like I'm waiting for that full complete Omni to come out because I missed that, which is why they got me with Grimm because I'm not going to miss another, you know, potentially great story. And I don't know. I haven't read Something's Killing the Children, but I hear great things about it. So I'm hoping one day the Omni comes out. So
I've got the first volume over there. I haven't touched it yet. You know what I'm saying? But it is. Yeah, I've got the first collected hard copy or hardcover.
How many issues are in that? It's not the whole run, right?
15, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
So it's half of what's basically out. So they just dropped the issue 30, if I'm not mistaken. So the second hardcover should be coming out, I'd say probably within the next 6 months. That'll be out. You know what I'm saying? So
let me know.
Yeah, man, absolutely. All right. Well, that is going to do it for our show for this evening. This has been your comic preview for Wednesday, March 22nd. Head out to your shop, get online, find something, man. You know what I'm saying? And look, man, again, let us know what you're reading. Because I'm more willing to take a shot than my brother is. You know what I'm saying? So, but with that being said, man, we want to thank you guys for joining us. As always, like, subscribe, do all the stuff y'all normally do, man. For the other stuff that doesn't mean anything to you, hit us up, man. You know what I'm saying? Let us know what you think, man. And as always, man, we appreciate y'all for coming out. Now for the hype man moment. Hit it, Rand. Let me hear it.
It's so funny. But check it out. Real talk. You got to follow your boys. The favorite neighborhood homies. That's your favorite neighborhood homies. Check it out. There's a subscribe button. There's a like button. You got to hit both. You got to get all the notifications to Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and Apple Podcasts. We're up there. So check us out. Understand it. We just out here trying to have a good time with you guys. So we appreciate all the homies and homettes. Log in, like your boys, subscribe, and enjoy the ride.
Y'all got to understand. He hates it when I do that. All right, man. Favorite neighborhood homies, man. We're going to go ahead and sign off, man. Y'all have a good evening, man. Peace.
Peace.